Welcome back. You're watching our budget special. The Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan has seen enrollments rising across India over the last decade. While this is heartening, equally dismal is the quality of students that are passing out. Trying to bridge this gap are entrepreneurs who've made product innovations, changed curriculum designs and even business models that range from for-profit to those that are socially relevant. So what are the demands of these emerging education entrepreneurs? Let's find out.
We haven't addressed actually education as a big ticket, high focus item, making it as the theme of the year or theme of the decade even till date. And I sincerely hope that there is enough think about giving it that kind of an attention and focus. The public-private partnerships is something that we must execute as if there is no tomorrow, because that will help government capital getting clubbed with private capital, private efficiency driven management, whether it is people or technology or innovation or whatever. That's one area that I would like to look at. The second place I would look at is giving educational investments, giving education the infrastructure status. I think the policy must enable a free, fair, transparent play. And if we could give tax exemptions to software industry, which is solving Boeing's problem in America, I find it funny why cannot we not do it in education?
According to census figures, over 32% of the 1.1 billion population is between the age group of 0 to 14 years. This means that the number of people in India needing primary and secondary education alone exceeds the entire population of the United States. This has created two challenges: one, providing quality education to all, and second, monitoring the existing systems. Be it nursery admissions or the number of bogus students reported in schools, the public education system is fraught with many problems. And the solution is not just higher budgetary support.
What I expect to happen is going to be that more money is going to be thrown in a system which has not worked for 60 years. So the government school system has not worked for 60 years, and what's going to happen is further allocation of money is going to be given to this sector. And I think it's a wrong precedent, and it's something which is likely to continue. What should have happened in fact is that government needs to involve the private sector into education in a more concrete way. It could be by subsidizing loans for setting up infrastructure of schools and colleges. It can be giving accelerated tax breaks to corporates to set up schools and institutions. A major financial reform would be that we understand that private education and profit making should not be such a taboo word in this sector.
A sentiment mirrored by Anshu Gupta of Goonj, an NGO that provides clothes and other basic amenities to India's deprived rural millions. Anshu believes NGOs must be given tax breaks so they can scale up and reach out to more people.
You need to understand that there is a large chunk of society which is supported by the voluntary sector, and it has to be people friendly ultimately. If you make everything taxable even in the voluntary sector, that's a pain. Talk about transparency, absolutely understandable. Talk about any rule and regulation which brings transparency in the sector, but let's not impose taxes to reduce the earnings of the voluntary sector, to reduce the way we operate.
Well, that's what Young India wants from the Finance Minister. Let's hope Pranab Mukherjee delivers. Find out right here on CNBC TV 18. But for now, it is time for us to wrap up this special edition of Young Turks. As always, do send us your comments, feedback and your suggestions. Our email address is youngturks@network18online.com. You can follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is Shireen@YT. Also join our Facebook page. Leave us your profile. Leave us your suggestions and comments for Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee. And you can of course catch the highlights of all our shows there. For now though, goodbye, many thanks for watching, and before we go, here are more messages to the Finance Minister.
I'm sure he knows exactly what needs to be done. It's just a question of, given political circumstances and political will, what they are willing to push for. My message to the Finance Minister is pretty much along the same lines of what I said last year, that I think it is time to get going on many of the things which can be done, and they have to be handled politically. He's capable capable of handling it. I don't know what the constraints are within the government or within the coalition parties, but although there may be opposition on a few key policies, there are lots of things that can be done, provided there is give and take, provided there is dialogue.
My message to the Finance Minister would be, listen, we need to grow 8%. Only if we grow 8% can we create millions of jobs for the young people of this country. Therefore, we need a forward-looking government, we need a progressive government, we need to end subsidies, we need to invest in the right areas, and we need to be bold about it.
My message to the Finance Minister is that, the good work that the business correspondent industry has done over the last 6 years has helped the system, the government, achieve this objective of including a large number of people in the financial fold. We need to leverage more of this hard work which has been done and make sure that the industry is compensated.
Mr. Finance Minister, please ease imports for us. Also declare us as an industry in the central list so that we can access loans for growth.
I think education is one sector which the service tax department should actually leave out and have a blanket exemption on service tax for at least education sector. That's a small step, I think, which the Finance Minister should be able to accept.